Great. So another way, another practical way that's very much in alignment with what has already been shared in the session, to open the aperture to God's love, to become God's love. Again, you are it, but to know it, to feel it, to let it ooze out of you, to let it be this transformative alchemical power wherever you go, so that everything you touch turns to gold, turns to love. Sometimes gold has a reaction to love that seems to be a little bit bitter, but nevertheless, ultimately, long term, it will have an effect that is alchemical. Not everyone will appreciate you coming up to them with love or you just radiating love. But over time, it will marinate, those seeds will be planted, and it will grow into the tree of love. But another practical way is to intensify your service to others. Okay, this has been a big portion of my own journey. And this is what NLS is really all about, No Limits Society. It's training free agents for the ignition of global awakening, to really constitute ourselves. And right now I'm just extending this intention to everyone who's watching this outside of NLS as well. The intention is that at least for you to know that if you want to, you can be constituted as a shepherd. You can be constituted in service to others in a way that benefits you. It doesn't have to be martyrdom. It doesn't have to be self-sacrificial in a negative sense. You just have to sacrifice your arrogance, which for a lot of people feels negative, but it is positive. It is positive to give up your notions of right and wrong. It's positive to give up your ideas about what you are. It is positive to not believe in yourself so that you can attain to faith and know God, and from that mystery operate from love, from a timelessness. It's more than positive. It's enlightening. However, it can seem negative sometimes because we're holding on to this candlelight. We don't want to let go of the little gremlin illuminated intelligence that we think we have, when we could turn the other cheek to ourselves and gaze upon the source of all that is and surrender to that and imbibe in that frequency. Recognize that and come from that. And when we become constituted, just like Ra said, then the adept no longer is a personality in the sense with which it began its learning journey. You become more than a personality. Your personality becomes empty, becomes a shapeshifter. It becomes a mirror of whoever it is meeting. It becomes a chameleon. It's no longer yours. Your person now belongs to the people. And fortunately or unfortunately, that's all they'll know you by for the most part. So they'll think that is you. But that's part of the self-sacrifice. Can you give up that last bit of, people don't understand me? Oh, people misjudge me. People misperceive my intentions. People misperceive why I said that. Can you let go of even that and turn away from that candlelight stick and turn towards the Creator once again? As Ra said, same thing ultimately. As Ra said, one who becomes the Creator becomes the most humble servant of all. Completely transparent in personality and able to know other selves. And so it's like that. But your personality becomes a jacket that you wear, a suit that you pick that day or that moment. Every moment you pick another suit. And this becomes more and more intuitively, intelligently guided over time. It becomes automatic. You meet somebody, you don't even know a thing about them, and somehow you feel yourself distort yourself in a certain way because you're matching their vibration. Now make sure you maintain the frequency of love throughout that so that you don't get swallowed up in the jackets you're wearing. But you see, you become more than just a person. That's my main point here. I won't go too deeply into this because it's more technical and stuff. It's not the intention for this retreat. I want to keep it accessible. But you will find yourself opening up to the ability, to capacity to meet people where they're at, while not getting swallowed up in that act of service, but automatically, more and more automatically, wanting to give the light of God, the love of God, wanting to give of yourself, wanting to make yourself available for service to others. And it's a very powerful way to further open, sometimes crank it open a little bit, because it's not always easy to be of service to others in the face of challenge and personal emotions, is it? Just with the forgiveness, when you're feeling the hurt and the righteousness, it's not that easy to completely forgive that whole experience. But you can do it. And the time to do it is now. And it will serve you more than them even. It will serve them too greatly, but it will serve you the most. So do this, give this gift of forgiveness and activate yourself more in service to others, because it also keeps the aperture more open. If your daily life is more, how can I be of service? How can my will be thy will? In other words, how can I serve the whole? No longer see myself as a separate particle, but sort of wave along with this ocean, this dreamscape, and just kind of blend with it and kind of be of service to it. Not without any personal boundaries or energy management, but nevertheless opening yourself up more and more to simply the intent to be of service to others, for thy will to be my will, to have that surrender, to have that passion and compassion. Because there's a lot of people out there, my friends, seeking and yearning and striving. And I mean, you guys are too, to some degree. But you have this access. You have these teachings, you have this community and so forth. But there's a lot of people, millions and millions and billions, that are seeking, they're yearning, they're craving, they're calling. If you could hear the energy, it'd be overwhelming. There was a time in my life when several times a week, I'd be bawling my eyes out. After a while, I realized I just kind of have to shut this off because it's not practical. Beyond a certain point. So I learned what I needed to learn from that, and I can open it up to it anytime. I can open that valve, and I can have a good cry for humanity. I can hear the collective crying out. I can hear their suffering, and as part of what's kept me on track, and it's what's kept my personal energies available to be of service. When a lot of times, just like goat cheese, I don't like humanity that much, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that way in their own ways. So, you know, there's a great mystery and magic looking around the matrix and seeing people in their bubbles, but it's not necessarily the house you want to live in all the time, right? And the deceit and the unconsciousness and the hateful intentions and the manipulation, all ultimately coming from an innocent place, ultimately. But nevertheless, the vibrations that are rampant throughout this planetary grid are kind of like goat cheese. No offense to goats, but so how then to keep being of service, my friends, how to keep shining bigger and greater, and how to conquer all the obstacles and the challenges. And it is by surrendering over and over again to the love of God, that non-dual self-transcendent love that is, and in a relative fashion, when it comes to your relationship to the world, your life, other people, is to continue to intensify your service to others, to see, to sense their calling. And when you hear someone cry a genuine cry, not a drama cry, a genuine cry of despair, how could you not feel that and let it move you into, at the very least, sending love and light, if not compassionate action where appropriate or relevant? So to be able to feel, to sense, to be aware of the fact that there's billions of people crying for clarity, crying out for clarity, and they don't know. They don't know, but they seek for this. They seek for God. They seek for love. They seek for liberation. They seek for the end of self-judgment. And through your frequency, through your own constitution, just like Gandhi was constituted as a free, unified India, he made that happen. A single man, a single person, a single physical body made of pus and bones and blood, just as limited as yours, maybe even more because he was quite frail, caused an entire shift in human history for a billion people and more indirectly. A single person. Now, of course, he had help and support, but nevertheless, from the point of view of that single person, he decided to constitute himself to be the change. I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow, how to do this, the metaphysics of this, how to conquer yourself in that way, how to attain to that state of power and invincibility when it comes to your mission, your destiny. He was constituted, he was that, regardless of consequence. Now that's service to others in the purest sense, where you are that. Yes, it takes some sacrifice, but it serves you because it cleanses your entire history of separation between you and God. This is what I call honor. It's like the next step of integrity. It's not just values and morals. It's actual integrity to God, to your calling, to what you know is true, and to stand by that no matter the ridicule, no matter the opposition, no matter the violence. If you can do that, my friends, hats off to you. I'll call you my best friend for life, BFFs. Because I know what it takes, and it takes the courage, and I wish to inspire this in as many people as possible, because right now it cannot just be one man, it cannot just be one woman. It's got to be the whole. It's got to be all of you. And if not you, if not us, if not this, we're privileged to even have this live stream right now. We're privileged to have access to this kind of teaching. We're privileged to be aware enough to even be able to work with ourselves consciously, spiritually, to have the time and energy and space to do that. And billions are not so in that state of readiness right now. They haven't created that opportunity for themselves. You shouldn't feel guilty, but you are privileged in a beautiful way. And we should take this with gratitude and appreciation and pay it forward by being constituted in God's love, by not being so consumed with our personal little bubbles automatically every day when we wake up. We don't even know who the fuck we are, and we just think that whatever we think is the truth. Pause yourself. There's this quote, I'm paraphrasing as a woman, I think. I don't remember her name. I posted on Instagram once. It said something like, for the first hour of your day, the first hour of your day belongs to God. It's kind of like this suggestion. Like when you wake up, for an hour, don't be yourself. Don't do your regular thing. Allow that 1 hour to belong to God. You know, call it meditation if you will. Call it contemplation. Call it openness. Call it surrender. Call it just loving. Call it activating service to others. But make the start of your day intentional and see beyond the bubble of your own life. Forgive the elements of your own life. Forgive yourself. Forgive the people in your life. And start loving like God loves. Start loving like the sun, not just like this little candle flame with self-interest. And it's perfectly fine to have your own desires. They're beautiful. And they will also be fulfilled along the way. As Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else shall be added on to you. But seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. What is that kingdom? It is God's love. It is the love of source. It is that non-dual, formless love that all can access. Take some practice, take some surrender, but all have access to it. It is accessible. It's not something in the sky, although it's also in the sky because it's everywhere. But it's not just in the sky. It's also in the earth. It's also in your body. It's also in your mind, like the neutrinos. 100 trillion God particles flying through you every second. Are you aware of that? No, you're aware of the grocery list you have to do, the taxes you have to do, the grudge you're holding against your neighbor, why he didn't cut his lawn in time this week, and it makes it look, not good with your lawn. That's what we're concerned with. If we don't pay attention, it's not what you mean to be concerned with. It's by no means representative of your soul. And trust me, I know that. It's not representative of who you are. And I don't hold that behavior against people. I don't hold it against myself either, if it happens. So I get it. It's easy to get swallowed up in the human bubble perspective. And in some senses, that's all you're designed to do here. However, God's love can take you far beyond that. It can truly transcend the 3D little bubble world. And there's an interesting process when that 3D bubble consciousness starts to be rubbed off on by this God presence. This is where the alchemy happens. This is where you become more than just a personality. This is where you become one with all that there is ultimately, more and more every day. And your service is going to be automatic. Ra also says in a different segment, for those who have attained to intelligent infinity, who have penetrated to intelligent infinity, God, essentially. Service to others is automatic. It's no longer a choice. They have no choice. It's choiceless. In that state, from that understanding, you cannot not be of service to others. It's literally drops away as a possibility. It's no longer an option. Not that you make a sacrifice, it's just no longer an option. Try to imagine that you cannot choose service to self. It's not possible. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy going to a nice dinner and savoring the food, or take a bath for yourself and nourish yourself. All that is included, but even that is part and parcel energetically of being of service to the whole. There's not a single part of your life that is not naturally motivated in service to the whole. That becomes automatic after a certain threshold. But until that threshold, intensifying, making it more intentional for you to be of service to others, even though it kind of still works with the duality of self and others, which ultimately disappears because God's love is non-dual. But nevertheless, in this illusion, in a practical sense, on a day-to-day basis of where you're going to invest your energy and actions, if you make that more aligned with service to others, in whatever way comes most naturally, passionately for you, whatever your natural talents are, whatever your natural expression is, whatever your natural avenues are, to intensify that, you will already feel a great openness and a great surrender and a greater honorable alignment to God. Your will is starting to merge with thy will, with the whole intelligence of what's in the best interest of all that is.